Hi everyone, this is William from the Headphone Experience, and I'm here tonight with my first impressions of the Burson Playmate 2 headphone amp. This was loaned to me for review by Burson Audio. It currently sells for or retails at about $544. It is a combination headphone amp, DAC, and preamp. This unit has two inputs, which would be USB and Toshlink, which is your optical input. The DAC uses a 32-bit Sabre ESS9038Q2M DAC chip, which I believe is Sabre's still, it's their top-of-the-line DAC chip. This accepts signals up to 786 kilohertz PCM or 512 DSD. It has three outputs, which are its two headphone outputs, which is 6.3 millimeter single-ended and 3.5 millimeter single-ended, and it also has RCA preamp outputs. The power output of this amp is rated by Burson at 3 watts per channel, Class Class A, and that is single-ended, so you do not need to have a balanced cable to take advantage of the full output of this. That is one advantage to single-ended amps, and I did want to talk about that for a second because I did want to mention that in my opinion, there is no real advantage to balanced amps over single-ended amps, but that being said, if an amp has been designed as balanced, it's almost always going to sound better from its balanced outputs. But I think a single-ended amp can sound just as good as a balanced amp, and the one advantage to a single-ended amp is you don't need a balanced cable to access the full power of the amp. So anyway, this amp has detachable op amps, and which means you can unplug the op amps and switch them out with other op amps. And I did review the Burson Fun headphone amp a couple of years ago, and Burson did supply a couple of op amp options, which would be the V6 Vivid and the V6 Classic, and they do change the sound quite a bit. And actually I think I liked it best with the V6 Vivid, but anyway, they didn't send any other op amps with this amp this time, so I'm just listening to it with what comes with it, but it still sounds great, so that's just fine with me. This amp has two different gain levels, and it has a 100-step volume control. Burson now uses something they call MCPS, which stands for Max Current Power Supply. And I haven't done a lot of research on that yet, so I'm going to look into that a little bit, find out what that's about before I do my full review of this. And like I said earlier, this is just my first impressions. I've only had this for, I guess I've had it for about a week, and I have listened to it probably 3 or 4 times since then, maybe an hour each. So, kind of have a little bit of a, grip on what it sounds like, and I will go into the sound a little bit in this video, but I'm going to try to listen to this quite a bit over the next 2 or 3 weeks and then give you my full review of this, and definitely dig in deeper to the sound and maybe do some comparisons to a couple other headphone amps in the same price range. But anyway, as far as I can figure out, and when I received this from Burson, it did not have an instruction manual or any paperwork or any information with it. I'm assuming it's a loaner unit that was passed on from another reviewer. So anyway, but I did look up the instructions and all that, and from what I can see, it looks like it has 8 different roll-off filters, so with the DAC, so you have quite a bit of options there. There is a menu you can go into this, and you can do quite a few things with it. I did I want to mention the unit is 6 inches wide. It's 8.25 inches deep, and that would include the volume knob, and it's about 2¼ inches tall. Burson has the weight listed at 3 kilograms, but I'm assuming that that must be the shipping weight because it only came in at about a little over a third of that, about 38 ounces, which is a little, I think about, what would that be, about 3 pounds, 6 ounces, so I guess about half. So anyway, I did want to show you the unit, give you a little bit of a close-up view here. Starting out here, you have your 6.3 millimeter single-ended headphone output. You have your 3.5 millimeter single-ended headphone output. You have your screen here that gives you digital volume readout, and it also has your menu on that. And way over on the side over here is your menu button. You push the menu button, then you scroll through the menu with the volume knob, then you pick what you want, whatever you want off the menu by pushing in the volume knob. Then you scroll it again, and then you set your setting by pushing in again, and then you hit the menu button and switch out of menu. So it was a little bit tricky to figure out at first, but now that I know what I'm doing, it's not too bad. You can see on the back here you have a USB input, you have your optical touch link input, you've got a couple of RCA analog outputs, which is controlled by the volume knob, that is a preamp output, and you've got your 24 volt DC input. I did want to show you the outside of the unit. The case is entirely aluminum, and it's got sort of a finned or ribbed design, which is, the whole thing is meant to be a heat sink and dissipate heat because this is a Class A amp, and Class A does create quite a bit more heat than other types of amps. I also wanted to show you, this came with the amp, and actually you could probably figure it out better in the picture behind me, but this is a stand that's made for it so you can stand it up on edge. And Burson says, according to I think it was the instruction manual or maybe their website, it says that it does actually dissipate heat better standing on edge like that, and it does look really cool. You can see it in the picture back here. This does, I don't think this is included in the price of the amp. From what I could see, and it was actually on the website, it's called the Very Cool Stand, and I guess that's a pretty good name for it because it is very cool, and it has the same matching ribs on it to dissipate heat, so it looks really good with the amp. But I think this sells for about $99. Anyway, I did want to mention that for my first impressions of this, the source I used with the amp is a Cambridge Audio 540C CD player as a transport only. I ran a digital signal through the Touchlink optical connection. And getting into the sound a little bit, I did want to mention that so far I've primarily used the LSA HP2 headphone to do my listening so far. I've also used the Hifiman HE560 for a short time, mostly as a power test because that's the hardest headphone that I do have to drive, and that's how I usually test amps to see what kind of power they're putting out, because the HE560, it doesn't need a whole lot of power to play loud, but it needs a lot of power, a lot of current to sound good. It sounds thin and kind of harsh without enough power behind it, so it's a real good test of an amp's output power. So, but most of my listening so far has been with the outstanding LSA HP2, which I rated the headphone of the year this for 2020. Before I put out my full review on this, I will try a few other headphones, a couple of higher end headphones with it, and make that part of my review. But anyway, as far as the sound, the first thing I noticed was this amp is just pretty much dead on neutral, and just with maybe just a little bit of a hint of warmness to it. That could be that Class A circuitry. It has a little bit of warmness, a little less dry than a few other amps I've heard in the same price range, and just has a very pleasant, very relaxed sound to it, but not lacking detail at all. It's very clean, it's very detailed, it's very revealing, but just so far I've really enjoyed this amp. It's just really nice to listen to. In fact, and you've probably all experienced this, every once in a while it usually happens to me at night. I'll be sitting in a dark room late at night, I'll have headphones on, and just everything just seems to come together. It just, for some reason, it just sounds so good, and that you don't want to stop listening. You just want to listen for hours, because and you don't really know why it is. There's a lot of theories of why this happens, but for me it's maybe once every couple weeks, and I listen to headphones almost every day, and I have a lot of good equipment that I listen to, and but once in a while it just all comes together where you just hear every last note, every detail, and you're just thinking to yourself, it couldn't sound any better than this. Well, to be honest, I was listening to this with the LSA HP2 the other night. I was listening to the CD Tori Amos Tales from a Librarian, and had that experience where it just seemed to me like it couldn't possibly sound any better. So I was just really, really enjoying that listening experience. So anyway, I did try this out with the Hifiman HE560, and in low gain I had to go up, like I said, it has 100 volume steps. I was up at about 60 before the HE560 really, I would say normal listening level, but it was straining. On low gain, it didn't have the power or the current necessary to bring out the best in that headphone. So I switched it over to high gain, and there was quite a bit of difference. Now, normal listening level was about 40 on the volume knob, and I cranked it up to about 60 on the volume knob, and it was as loud as I could stand, and the amp really took control of the headphones. They had really solid bottom end, and tight, solid, deep bass like they should. So this amp seems to have plenty of power to handle even a hard to drive headphone like the HE560, which is actually quite a bit harder to drive even than the Hifiman Aria. And a lot of people, I've seen conversations lately, several, on people asking what amp do I need to get the best out of the Aria, and I usually recommend about 3 watts per channel, minimum, but this amp it is rated at 3 watts per channel, and it seems to have plenty of power for the Aria. I mean, it has plenty of power for the 560, and that needs more power than the Aria does, so I think you'd be doing good with this. I did want to point out a couple things about this that I thought's a little bit strange. Number one is it does not have any analog inputs, and for an amp of this caliber, I personally would like to have an analog input or two, so I could hook up another source, another DAC or whatever. Not that the DAC in this isn't great. I mean, the DAC seems to be really, really good in this, but it would be nice to be able to plug another analog source into this. And also, there's no fixed output. As far as I know, maybe I haven't, like I said, it didn't have instructions with it, but as far as I can figure out, the analog output on this is preamp only, where it's controlled by the volume. I would like to have a fixed output, because this does have a great DAC, and to use the DAC out of this unit through another amp if I wanted. But as far as I know, I think you have to, the output is only volume controlled. I mean, you could still use it. You could set the volume on this, you know, probably at max or close to max, and then use, you know, the volume control on your other amp if you wanted to. But I just thought it'd be convenient if it had a fixed output on the analog output. But anyway, I did also want to mention that there is an upgrade package available on this amp. Like I said, it comes with the op amps that are removable, but the upgrade package for $200 more, $744, you get the extra op amps, the ones that come in it originally, and the extra, which I think are the V6 Vivid op amps. And it also comes with a remote for the price of $744. So anyway, that's about it for tonight. I want to wrap this up, and I will try to be back in about 2 or 3 weeks with a full review. I want to try some other headphones with it, and I also want to do some comparisons with it. One of the comparisons I'd like to make is I'd like to compare it to the iFi Zendac Zencan stack that I've got sitting right here. And also I've got just got a topping, what is it, I think the A50S amp, and I've got the matching DAC coming in, and that would also be an interesting comparison to compare it to that stack. So but you know, those are both stacks of 2 units. This is 1 unit, the DAC and headphone both in one, and the prices are kind of comparable. So I'm going to try to make some comparisons and get back in a couple weeks. So anyway, going to wrap this up. Once again, this is William from the Headphone Experience. If this video has helped you, please give me a thumbs up. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel. And you are all welcome to join us over at the Headphone Experience on Facebook. Once again, thanks for watching my video.